Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Dennis Mariano. Today we have a very, very special guest that we're interviewing, and this is the amazing, miraculous man, Dr. Gilles LaMarche. And the reason why I'm interviewing him is because his story has been told many times, but I don't think it's been told often enough. And as you'll find out in a moment, it's a very amazing story on how the body can heal itself. And I'm so excited, if you could tell from my voice, that he's here today to give us this interview. Just without further ado, I'm going to just ask him to tell his story. Dr. Gilles, so please give us a background on exactly what happened.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me to participate and to share this story publicly with you. As you said, it's been shared many times from many stages, and it's an important story to tell. I agree with you, because this body, like your body, like the body of everyone watching, has this innate ability to heal, provided there's no interference. We've talked about that for decades. And I am a chiropractor. I graduated in 1979. I was under regular chiropractic care since the age of 12 and experienced the benefits of overall health because of chiropractic. I was a runner most of my life, starting in high school. I ran competitively through college, and then I ran just to stay in shape, just to have fun. I would run, 2-3 times a week, go out and run 3 to 5 miles, and just to stay fit. In the spring of 2000, I started having trouble running in nature, because I only run in, I don't like to run concrete, so I run in nature. And I thought I must be allergic to something in nature, because I was really having this pressure in my chest and this difficulty breathing. And I tried over a few days or weeks, and I was like, whatever, I'm just going to stop running. Didn't pay attention to it anymore. I just stopped running. I thought, I'm getting older, I'm in my 40s, maybe I should just stop running. I am allergic to cats, and so I had this feeling there was always a cat around me, but there was none. So anyway, everything was fine. If I didn't run, I didn't have any problems. In the spring of 2003, 3 years later, one of my assistants pulled me aside in my office while I was caring for patients, and she put her hands on my shoulders, she was shaking, she was crying a little bit. She said, "I'm so afraid you're going to die in front of me." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" She said, "Listen to you breathe, you sound terrible." And she said, "I don't mean to be disrespectful, Doc, but you look terrible. You've aged, 10 years in the past 6 months. There's something wrong with you. You gotta do something about it." I was like, "Oh no, don't worry. I'm trying to figure out what I'm allergic to. I'll be fine." And so I went through the process. I did a 5-day elimination diet. I basically went on a fast for 5 days, and then I started reintroducing foods to see if I was allergic to some type of food. Nothing came of that. I thought maybe it's environmental. I had my entire house eco-friendly cleaned. That didn't change anything. We had an indoor swimming pool in our house. I had them drain the pool completely before they did all the cleaning. So there was no potential trace of any chemical of any kind in my house. Nothing changed. So anyway, on that day that she said, "I'm so afraid you're going to die in front of me," and I said, "Don't worry about it," she, being a lot smarter than I was, she called a friend of mine, my best buddy, and who's a physician, and convinced him that he needed to get me to his office. So he called me at night and said, "Hey, if I made a promise to someone, you're the only person who could help me fulfill my promise. Would you do whatever it takes to help me?" I said, "Of course I would. That's what friends do." He said, "Great, I'll see you tomorrow at my house at 4 o'clock. And he hung up the phone because he figured I probably wouldn't go. So I made a promise, so I went. And through the examination, multiple tests, multiple specialists, cardiologists, pulmonologists, etc., I got diagnosed with a terminal condition called primary pulmonary hypertension. So a lot of people know the term hypertension, high blood pressure. This has nothing to do with high blood pressure. It's increased pressure from your lungs pushing into the right side of your heart. And my body did what the body is designed to do. It adapted. So while I was having difficulty, or prior to the symptoms being obvious, my body was adapting, so my heart grew. By the time I had all these testing done, they discovered that my heart had grown to 2.5 times its normal size.
Wow.
So I had primary pulmonary hypertension, and I had the condition called cardiomegaly. Anyway, so again, a number of specialists away from my PCP, and everyone told me, "You need a double lung and heart transplant, or you'll be dead in 2 years or less." So being a doctor myself, I did all the research on these conditions. I did all the research on the procedure that they were advising me I should have. And I discovered, well, number one, they're right. Most people that diagnosed with primary pulmonary hypertension are dead within 2 years of diagnosis. Prognosis did not look too good. So now we're in 2003. I was 48 years old. And I did all the research on double lung and heart transplant recipients, discovered that the quality of life is not really great. You're going to exist, but you're not going to live full out. And I figured I was blessed to live a really, really good, active, vibrant life in sports and did all sorts of fun stuff. And that's how I still like to live my life. Mm-hmm. And so I made the conscious decision after a conversation with my family that I would not agree to the procedure. And I was getting worse by the week. Mm-hmm. I found someone to take over my practice. It took a few months to transition. During that time, I succumbed to the half-hourly use of Ventolin. I was pumping drugs into my lungs every 30 minutes while I was in practice so I could breathe long enough to take care of the next group of patients. And on the days that I saw patients morning and afternoon, I would go home at lunchtime. I'd sleep for an hour and a half, 2 hours, like literally zonked out, tired. I would come home from the office. I would eat a little bit. I would just go to bed until I did the same thing the next day. But I had like zero quality of life. So I retired from practice on the 14th of April in 2004. It took probably like 8 or 9 months to get people to come over and take over my practice. I did what people know they're going to do when they know they're going to die. I went ahead and I got all my affairs in order. I planned my funeral, paid for the funeral, did everything that somebody that knows they're going to die is going to do, so not to live, cause any stress to the family. And through all that, I would tell you that nowhere in that time period, from diagnosis to when I retired, was I ever angry about anything. I wasn't depressed. My emotional state was, you know what? I've had a beautiful life. God blessed me with 3 beautiful children, a great life. If this is God's plan for my life, then I'm okay. I was totally okay to transition. And I rested a lot, obviously slept a lot, I was just tired. And on the 15th of May, 31 days later, I woke up and the first thought was, you're a beep beep, I won't say those words, but you're an idiot. You've been preaching this chiropractic paradigm of health and healing for 25 years. There must be something seriously wrong with your spine and nervous system. And I thought, well, darn, I'm a chiropractor, get checked by a chiropractor every couple weeks. How could there be? And then the third thought is what spurred deeper thought was never by the same chiropractor. So what I realized in that moment on the 15th of May in 2004 was that I had not been an active practice member in any chiropractic practice since I had left home for undergrad school. So it had been many years, 30 plus years, that I would get checked by friends. If we're having lunch together, I could go to a chiropractor's office, he would check me, or they'd come to my office, I would check him, whatever it might be. But no chiropractor did a regular examination on me. I didn't have regular reevaluations. I hadn't had an x-ray of my spine in probably 20 plus years. Mm-hmm. No doctor kept a chart on what was happening with my spine and nervous system. And that noise went on for a few minutes. When all the noise died down in my head, I was like, oh my gosh, maybe my life's not supposed to be over. What I didn't tell you is that at that time, if I didn't pump Ventolin into my lungs, I couldn't go up a flight of stairs by myself. Right? So I was now 49 years old. I couldn't walk 100 feet unaided. I couldn't go up a flight of stairs by myself. I was dying a quick death. And I looked like I was probably late 60s. I looked old. My posture was poor. I had this huge barrel chest because I was working so hard to breathe all the time. Anyway, when all the noise died down, I reached over. I was still in bed. I reached over. I called my former office manager, and I said, I'd like to have an appointment as a new patient. And of course, she laughed. She said, you've been under care for, why new patients? Come on in and get adjusted. I was like, no, you don't understand, Janet. I haven't been a practice member in anyone's office for years. I haven't had an x-ray done on my spine. Like, I want a thorough examination. She said, okay. So booked me an appointment. I went in to see the husband and wife team that had bought my practice. They did a thorough consultation, thorough examination, had x-rays done, nerve scan, did everything we had to do, and discovered that my spine looked like it was in pretty good shape, except from C7 to T4. So for people who don't know that, when you pass your hand on the back of your head and you rub it down your neck, when you get to that bump, that's the last cervical vertebra, that's C7, and then the next 4. The nerves that exit the spine from T1 to T4, as you well know, but for your audience, are the nerves that actually bring the electrical energy to the function of the heart and the lungs. And the only place where they found a problem with my spine was exactly there. I started getting adjusted every day. Some people say, oh, that's a lot.
Mhm.
I was dying.
Yeah.
So every
You have
day
to
is
lose.
like, so these young chiropractors said to me, well, we'll adjust you a few times and see if it helps. I said, no, you don't understand.
Yeah.
And I was very respectful because it was their practice. They had bought the practice. But I said to them, could we reverse the table for a second and allow me to be the doctor? And let's pretend that was your x-ray. And let me share with you what I would tell you with 25 years experience, what should be done. And they said, absolutely. So I said, well, what I would suggest to you is that we start by adjusting you every day. And I remember the female, she said, well, for how long? I said, I don't know. What we're going to do is we're going to adjust you every day. We'll do regular evaluations every 10 or 12 visits, and we'll assess. So 5 days a week until we do a re-examination that tells us we should do something differently. And until it shows us we can do something differently, we continue every day. So yeah, well, how long would you do that for? And it was sort of a joke of sorts, but it's the words that came out of my mouth. I said, until I die, until I thrive, I don't have a lot of other options.
Right.
Because there were no options.
Correct.
I looked at all the other options. So I started getting adjusted every day, and I got adjusted every day for 10 or 12 weeks. And by the end of August, my pulmonary pressure, which had been measured at 57 millimeters mercury of pressure, the normal is 15, mine was 57. So average, the pressure was 4 times greater than what the heart is built to pump through. By the end of August, it had dropped to 27, which was more than a 50% improvement.
Wow.
Within 1 year, my pulmonary pressure was completely normal. Within 2 years, my body continued to adapt, and my cardiomegaly was gone. I started running again. I've been running ever since. I live in Atlanta, as you all know. And during January, there was a huge 15,000, actually not January, February 2nd, my birthday, February 2nd, at age 65, I ran a 5-kilometer race with 15,000 other running enthusiasts in downtown Atlanta. And, we're here at the Jersey Shore this weekend. I went for a run this morning on the boardwalk. I do everything I've ever wanted to do in my life, and I'm 100% healthy. And so my body, like yours, like everyone watching, is built to heal. The interference I had was the interference of the subluxations in my upper thoracic spine that were inhibiting proper neurological function from the brain to the heart and lungs and back up to the brain. Once that was corrected, neurologically my body started functioning the way it was designed to do, and my body healed. And it went through that adaptation again. The heart didn't need to be 2.5 times normal size to try to get blood to the lungs, so it just shrunk back down to its normal size. So today at 65, I'm healthier than when I was 48 by far. Some people say I don't look 65.
No.
I say this is what 65 is supposed to look like. This is the norm. And so I guess the story and why we want to tell the story is that there are millions and millions and millions of people out there who have no idea that their body was designed to heal. I use this statement all the time, is that all organic systems in the universe are conscious, self-developing, self-maintaining, self-healing, as long as there's no interference. So our job as chiropractors is to determine where the interference is. It might be neurological interference because of the subluxation of the spine. It might be because the people are feeding themselves, bad food and bad drink and becoming toxic. But all we need to find is interference. And when you correct the interference, the body then is in the great position to heal. So I changed nothing else in my life when I started getting adjusted every day. I always had, for many years I had a very clean diet. I didn't change my meditation habit. I didn't change my prayer habits. The cardiologist, of course, said, well, it's a miracle because there's no way chiropractic got you better. But the reality is, if, being 100% honest, I changed nothing else.
And you know what? Tell the story about the echo.
About the echocardiogram, that's a good story. So the typical cardiology appointment was, you walk in, a lab tech comes in, she does the echocardiogram, she gives the results to the doctor comes in and says to me, Gilles, we really should be considering a transplant because you're getting worse. So that time in August of 2004, I went in and did the first echo, and he came in and said, there's something wrong with their echo machine, and the second one is booked all day long. Any chance you can come back after 4 so we can redo your echo on this other machine? I said, absolutely. He didn't ask me for anything else.
Yeah.
He didn't ask me if I was feeling better or what was going on in my life. So I said, sure, I'll come back. And I didn't offer anything.
Right.
Because I was somewhat testing, a little bit curious. So I came back and had a second echocardiogram at 4 o'clock. And he walked in with the 2 strips and he was like, okay, something's wrong. I said, what's wrong? He says, you're getting better.
Yeah.
Because both strips showed 27 millimeter of mercury of pressure.
Yeah.
And I spent a couple hours at least in deep conversation, explaining to the cardiologist what had happened.
Yeah.
And just say for him, it was very hard to believe.
Of course.
His thought process was, it's a miracle.
Of course.
God has chosen to heal you.
Yeah.
And I said, I understand. God does wonderful things.
Yes.
And the healing power that we have inside of us was given to us by our Creator.
Right.
I get it. I said, but this is what happened.
Yeah.
And after a couple hours of conversation, looking at Gray's Anatomy and guidance physiology with him and laying out on the table and having conversation with him so I could explain what my understanding was that had happened to my body, I got him to the point where he said, you know what, Gilles? You just might be right. It's possible.
Yeah, of course.
And I thought, yay,
Yeah.
that's a good battle to win. And so I questioned him on, him being the guru cardiologist in Canada. I said, by the time people get to you, they've been to all sorts of doctors. I said, like me, I went through a primary care practitioner. He referred me to sort of a local cardiologist. Then I went to a regional center. And by the time I got to the end, this was like at a national center for cardiology. I said to him, what percentage of the people that get you truly have a cardio or pulmonary disease? And he went on to said to me about 10%. And I was like, what happens to the other 90%? He said, well, they have non-specific chest pain.
Right.
So I said, so what's non-specific chest pain? He said, well, you know what that is. Like it's due to, I said, you mean like due to their spine being out of alignment or their ribs being out of alignment or a torque in their thoracic cage? He said, yeah. I said, well, what do you do for these people?
Yeah.
He said, well, we medicate them.
Yeah.
I said, well, now that you know what happened to me, would you refer him to a chiropractor? He was like, no, I could never do that. I was like, what do you mean you could never do that? And he went on to say, I have a referral-based practice. If I started sending the patients that these doctors send to me, if I started sending them to a chiropractor, they're going to stop sending me patients. I'm not going to have a practice. And I really felt like, just shame on you. Because the reality is that our goal as healthcare practitioners should be patient-centered, 100% always focused on helping the people we serve get well and stay well. And so as you can imagine, I walked out of that office not very happy, and I've never gone back. And if you said to me, I'm going to give you $1,000 to tell me his name, I couldn't take it because I don't remember.
Sure.
I literally said, that is a time of my past. It is a past chapter. I closed that chapter. I moved into this new chapter, and I can't even remember the guy's name.
Wow. But you know what? Yeah, the story still needs to be told, and thank you for sharing that. That's why I wanted to interview you, because that's a really inspiring story. My hope now that we have this on video, that we can inspire other people that would have never have heard your story, so that they can be inspired to tell other people as well that the power that created the body is the same power that heals the body as well.
Absolutely agree.
And it can't happen any other way. Thank you so much, Dr. Gilles.
My pleasure.
Those of you online, thank you again for joining us in our interview. If you found inspiration in this video, or if you found something here that was beneficial to you, please comment so that we can have engagement. And also, if you know people that need to hear this video, friends or family members that have lost hope, that don't know where else to go, you may want to send this to them and tag them on this, so this way they can have some inspiration. And if you'd like to connect with our community, please connect with us at drmariano.com. Thank you again, Dr. Gilles and Dr. Dennis Mariano. Until we see you in your next video, have a great day. Take care.